You pulled a big sexy is what you did. You went and ran your body harder than you normally do. Like you ran your body like I normally run my body. And I apparently ran my body harder than I normally run my body.
But imagine Biggie Smalls were to have opened for the Medium, who was opening for the headliner Big Sexy. That would be a lineup to rival all lineups. For some reason, I thought it was longer, but then...
That's what she said. Yeah. I should have said, oh, that's it. This is a wash. Let me just go back home and rest and take it easy and rest my voice. Did I do that? 100%. No, I don't like most cheeses. The only cheese I really like is pepperoni and mozzarella.
These folks are throwing snowballs with rocks in them at Santa Claus because they're so pissed that the team is winning. Anybody that's heard this stuff has heard these horror stories about Eagles fans. Eagles fans are shitbirds. They are a bunch of shitbirds, man. There was a play.
Whatever you imagine when you think of cruising might be both right and wrong, because cruising isn't one thing. I'm Bill from cruisehabit.com, and I'm a digital nomad working from ship and shore who loves sharing information to make sure people take the right cruises for them. Follow our adventures, enjoy tip videos, ship tours, and more in print and on our YouTube channel. Just visit cruisehabit.com/BSDN. We even host group cruises where you can cruise with us and get special treatment. Again, that's cruisehabit.com/BSDN or cruisehabit.com/bigsexy, whatever you'll remember.
What up, sexy world travelers? It's your boy, Big Sexy, here with a big thank you to our big, sexy world travelers. They're the folks who went over to bullwiththebutthole.com to subscribe to the podcast. I want to say a big shout out to Billy with cruisehabit.com, Lee Popsicle, Margaret White, Angel Quell, Bree, Chris Lowry, Dalen Diggs, Jesus, Joshua Tarr, Michael McKenna, Sebastian Robbins, and Smitty Scoop. If you would like to have your name read out before the show, just become a big, sexy world traveler and subscribe to the podcast. Swing on over to bullwiththebutthole.com and join the fun. Safe travels.
What is going on, you big sexy world travelers? We hope you know, because we sure don't. That's right, Big Sexy and I, for totally different reasons, are completely wiped out right now. But we are committed to giving you these sweet dulcet tones in your ears here for another episode. And we're going to get into why we are beating shit in just a moment. But here's your host to kick us off. It's a Big Sexy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this is hitting your ear holes, I hope that it is good. Yes, some weeks are harder than others to maintain the consistency that we have promised our sexy world travelers. Sometimes things get moved and pushed aside. Normally, we record on Thursdays. Today, we're recording on Monday, which usually it's fine, except for it makes just a little bit more tight of a schedule for me to get it edited, a trailer edited and published by Wednesday. Usually we record on Thursday, then I have a whole week to take care of it. But this past Thursdays, yours truly was dead to the fucking world and did not have a voice at all. Like I was talking like this, and this was as loud as I could go. So, you can still hear my voice isn't back to 100%, but I'm pushing it about 85 right now, taking it easy. My energy level's back. I'm feeling good, but man, I was sick, and it sucked because the wife was also sick. So like we're just two zombies moving through the house, and we had our big annual BerryWhite Christmas Extravaganza this past Sunday. 3 weeks late 10 years straight. And normally we'd set everything up, and we like a few days before we get all the gifts wrapped and the bags made and everything, but we were dead for 2 fucking days. So then we're trying to cram it all on Friday. Neither one of us, Saturday, she's working. I'm trying to do all the extra stuff and going shopping. I still don't feel 100%. She's getting a little bit worse, right? So it was something ran through our home, and it was really, really difficult to say the least. Wiped us out completely and totally. It's been a while since I've been out like that for a minute.
So you got sick, and that's legit. I, on the other hand, have no one to blame but myself for feeling the way that I do today.
Well, you pulled a big sexy is what you did. You went and ran your body harder than you normally do. Like, you ran your body like I normally run my body. And I apparently ran my body harder than I normally run my body, which is, I think, what contributed to me getting sick. But you, good sir, did too much for you.
For sure. And, some of it was weather induced. I would say that if the weather were more ideal, this would have been a very busy weekend for me, but not one where I probably felt as beat up as I do right now. Like, we are going to finish this recording, and I'm going to leave my office. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to take a nap. I've been in the office since, 8 a.m. or probably a little bit before that. And, have gotten what I need to get done for the day for the most part, and am looking forward to rolling out. Friday night, as some of you may know, because I mentioned it in the last episode, I had one of the Between Two Minds shows at Cult Classic Brewing Company. It's fantastic. We nearly sold out. There were a couple of empty seats, but mostly sold out, which is always fun. Bernardo, because we had performed there before, and we don't control the ticket sales at this venue. And most venues that we go externally, we don't control this ticket sales. So when we don't control the ticket sales, we don't see who's buying them. We don't know who's going to be there. We just see we can see numbers. And specifically with Cult Classic Brewing, they have tables, which if you were to go to any of their shows, so if you go to like cultclassicbrewing.com and go into their events, they have all sorts of stuff. They have bands. They have a medium coming in March. They have another Mentalist that's going to be there in April. But for any of these shows that they do, there's a seating chart. And
on a side tangent, one of my dreams is to follow a medium.
What do you mean by follow?
Be the next act.
Okay.
After medium. Because I want the schedule to say medium, big. And I want a little person to precede the medium.
It's too bad that the 90s happened the way that they did. And of course, the order of acts would not be arranged this way. But imagine if Biggie Smalls were to have opened for the medium, who was opening for the headliner Big Sexy. That would be a lineup to rival all lineups. So I'm not going to spoil any of the names, but
little big shop, little big.
There's a little Bow Wow.
What's the band?
And a little baby, right? Isn't there like a little baby or something?
So many little babies, little Bow Wow, little Monkey Boy, there's some Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, yeah.
Yeah, if there was like, little Mr. T, right? If there was the little A team and the little A team followed, they came on.
10 years ago, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for
right. If little A team was followed by The Medium, and then the headliner was Big Sexy and the Bigettes. Oh, I need to get some French singers, some French background singers, and call them the Bigettes. Anyway, yeah, that would be amazing.
I would
Anyway,
have nothing to say about that lineup other than I love it when a plan comes together. So speaking of the A Team, the theme of Cult Classic Brewing, which I think I described kind of what they did when they bought this old grocery store and how they reconfigured it and everything. But all of the tables, the theming of the whole place is like old cult movies. And even to the point where some of their beers resemble some of the posters of old like sci-fi films like Creature of the Black Lagoon and things like that. This place looks fantastic. The decor is great. But in the showroom, when you go buy tickets on the seating chart, all of the tables are named after different like cultural iconic things. So so you've got a table. The table has a name. Like for example, and I'll give one only because we were just talking about it. So there's one that'll be the A Team. And then the 4 seats are actually named Face, Murdoch, BA, whatever.
Right.
And then there's
the leader.
I'm just
I'm blanking on the leader's
Hannibal.
name. Hannibal. Yeah.
So there's other ones. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but it's basically it's a place and then a thing, you know, that has 4 with it. Generally,
right. Okay. So each table has 4 seats, and the table is themed, and each seat is named after that theme.
Right. So, for example, and I'll give an example that's not used because it's a 5, but if there were only 4 members of the Simpsons household, the table might be called Springfield, and you might have Homer, Marge, Lisa, Bart. That's not one. So I'm giving an example of that correlation, though. That's not a table because that's a grouping of 5. But if you think of other groupings of 4, you may come up with some of the ones that are there. So that was super cool. I always love performing at that place because it's a proper theater setup. There's always a lot of great energy in that room, and it makes for a great show. Their whole setup makes for a great show. So if you're anywhere near that place, I don't care what it is. You don't have to, I'm not sitting here saying this to pitch and shill whenever the next time I might be performing there is. I'm
no
saying
problem.
This I don't, and trust me, I'll plug that specifically on the show when it's booked. Also, another place this was a place that Matt Donnelly and his family actually introduced me to back when Matt and I did that mini tour a couple years back. So that's how I've learned of this place. That's where I've initially performed there, opening for Matt in that week-long run, and have been back there twice to do Between Two Minds shows since. So Bernardo's half of the show was quite a bit different because we don't know, with us not knowing who's coming out, we don't want to overlap material, at least if we can avoid it. Because if you've already seen it, why not do something different? So a fairly new show, similar elements and similar theme, a similar feel, because his character is who his character is. And then I mixed it up a little bit because the first time that I performed there, I was doing the very initial Between Two Minds version of the Hypnosis show, which was kind of like the baby version of Kevin Lepine's Hypnosis Unleashed show, because quite frankly, that was like 5-6 months after I learned how to do this. So I was not at that point in time breaking out with incredibly original material. So the show went great. There were definitely some things. It had been a little bit since I've done a show, and I would say that fortunately the rust didn't really show publicly, but there were definitely some things that I noticed that didn't quite go exactly the way that I wanted them to go. And I didn't realize it till I got home. It's like, oh, that's what you fucked up, bro. And then, so it's nice to be able and to be at a point in doing this that I can self-diagnose before I even have time to pull the video off of the SD card and send it to somebody like Kevin to take a look at and be like, "What the fuck did I do here?" But
Right.
again, it's also nice to get to the point where the things that I do that are not particularly ideal only affect me and my perspective of the show. Everybody else had a great time, and didn't notice that, hey, this was not. I mean, my wife, who was there, Bernardo was there, realized that, hey, this is not. There are certain elements of this that are not what they normally are because they've seen me do this fucking show 50 plus times, you know.
Right.
But that was cool. We drove down there, drove back, all on the same day, which wasn't that bad. It's only like an hour and a half away from Elkton, which
That's
really makes.
convenient.
For some reason, I thought it was longer, but then,
That's what she said.
yeah, from the previous times, I don't know whether maybe that was just because like the most recent time that we were down there, we got an Airbnb and we stayed down there and we just kind of, whatever.
Made a trip out of it instead of like just going to the venue or going there.
Exactly. But I'm going to keep my head on a swivel to other events that are at the venue because it's a super easy drive to just get down there and get back. I mean, I won't be able to, take part in all of the beverages that they have and then drive home, but that's okay. I can do without that. So that was Friday night. And then I put on 2 different NFL related hats this weekend.
Okay.
One I wasn't planning on doing, but then my nearly adult 17-year-old daughter talked me into going to the Ravens Steelers Saturday night, 8 p.m. on Amazon Prime Video, whatever, playoff game.
I love it. I love that it was your daughter who talked you into going to a sports ball event.
Yeah, it totally was. She wouldn't leave me alone about it. I had all of my tickets listed on the marketplace. I was ready to get rid of them. My club level tickets went. And then all I had was the lower level tickets. And the main reason I didn't want to go was
It's cold.
the cold plus. I also on Sunday I put my NFL agent hat on. I represent one of the players on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers were playing at the Eagles. So I went to that game. We were supposed to get field passes pre-game. Somebody fucked that up. No big deal, whatever. But I also went to the Eagles game, the Eagles-Packers game in Philly, which was 4:30 on Sunday. So I didn't really feel like doing the back-to-back, especially when it was a back-to-back-to-back. Temperature at the start of the Ravens game was like 22 degrees, and that is Fahrenheit. So that's negative something Celsius, probably like -4 or 5 or something like that. I don't know. It was brutal. It was pretty cold as well at the Eagles game. Now, keep in mind, Baltimore, Philadelphia, about 2 hours from each other. Geographically, they're in pretty much the same weather region, similar temperature. Let me tell you, if you are in any way connected to or a casual fan of or have the NFL on your periphery, you have heard horror stories about the fans in Philadelphia, specifically at Eagles games. You have probably heard the story about the season before O.J. Simpson, R.I.P. or rest in something, wherever you are. O.J. Simpson was going to be in the next draft. This is the last game of the season before that. And for anybody who does not know, the NFL draft the order of the draft is determined by your record the year before. So the teams that do the worst pick first. The team that wins the Super Bowl picks last, and it's filled out 1 through 32, or there were 30 teams at the time, but it's a pecking order of the worst team picks in the draft first, second worst team picks second, so on and so forth. Of course, if you watch this, you're not going to see what I just described because teams trade picks all the time. But for all
Nowadays,
intents,
back
Yeah.
then it was much more a thing, if you will. Yeah.
So the Eagles fan base was hoping that they would lose this game and have an earlier, I guess that would have given them the first pick of the first round of the draft. And this was like a Christmas game. Santa Claus was on the field, and these Eagles fans, because the Eagles started winning the game, which meant that they were potentially going to not get this first pick. And spoiler alert, they didn't. He was drafted by Buffalo, OJ was, and he went there because they had a worse record than the Eagles that year. These folks are throwing snowballs with rocks in them at Santa Claus because they're so pissed that their team is winning. So anybody that's heard this stuff has heard these horror stories about Eagles fans. And let me tell you, Eagles fans are shitbirds. They are a bunch of shitbirds, man. There was a play in the middle of the game that didn't really, it wasn't like, there's pivotal plays, okay, where if we make this first down or we get this score, it's going to change the direction of the game or whatever. Critical stuff. This was not one of those situations. It wasn't a critical down and distance. It was not, they had a substantial lead at the time that this all happens. They run the ball, hand the ball off to their running back, who gets stuffed, and I want to say loses 2 yards on the play. This stuff happens all the time, by the way. Even with the top tier players in the league, sometimes these plays fall apart. Sometimes these plays get blown up, and the whole stadium starts booing him. This is Eagles fans booing an Eagles player for just having a not stellar play. One play that did not in any way substantially change the course of the game, the momentum, the anything.
You sure they weren't just like trying to make a low rumbling noise to increase the body heat?
Well, they may have been saying boo earns, but I don't know that Montgomery was in the building. They did a lot of on the Jumbotron showing that, hey, this former player is here and this former Phillies player is here. And, oh, look, Bradley Cooper's here and Mike Trout is here. And all of these famous, they pointed those people out. I don't recall them pointing out Montgomery C. Burns on the Jumbotron. So I doubt they were saying boo earns, but maybe they could have been saying boo earns.
Did they boo former Philly players?
They did not. Because
I know occasionally, at least I've heard tell of some fandoms, like the Jumbotron will show a former player who went on to a different team.
So that's not, we did not have a display of former players who played. The closest we got to that, like Cole Hamels, I'm pretty sure retired as a Philly, but I don't follow it well enough to know, but he won a World Series with them and things like that. The closest thing, and for whatever reason, the Philly fan base seems to adore Mike Trout. Mike Trout was drafted by the Angels, has played for the Angels his entire career, but he's from Philly or Jersey or that region. So he returns regularly to Eagles games, I think Sixers games, and for whatever reason does not get booed. But he hasn't, it's not like, but again, that's still a different scenario. You play for the team that drafts you, right? You can't say,
you can't,
hey, screw you, I want to go play in Philly.
Some fandoms do not care if you didn't have to stay in where you went.
But I'll tell you right now, if you are walking through that concourse and you are wearing clothing from another team, I was not, I was just incognito. I was there with an Eagles fan. So I was but I was just wearing nothing that indicated that I was a fan of any team whatsoever. So none of this happened to me, but I observed it more than I was excited about, of people just verbally berating people walking by the concourse in other teams' clothing unprovoked. It wasn't like the person getting yelled at was being an asshole. It was literally just the Eagles fans being assholes. And then icing on the cake, man, we sat in front of some people that, God, I hope there's some way that these shitbirds hear this podcast. I doubt it, but
Maybe in the future, maybe we get big enough that
who knows? But these guys, and one of the two, I think specifically, just wouldn't shut the fuck up. And the stuff that they were saying was inane. It was ludicrous. It made no sense whatsoever. And some of the stuff was just really, really annoying. Like, it was very, very early in the game. So, and we're not going to go too. I'm not going to
go deep in his cups.
I'm not going to go too deep into the sports ball element of this, but the game starts with the Eagles kicking the ball off to the Packers. The Packers player is returning the ball, gets hit, fumbles the ball, and the Eagles recover the ball. So the Eagles start the game, even though they didn't receive the initial kickoff. They start the game at like the 30-yard line of the other team. They are basically within striking distance of scoring right out of the gate.
Okay.
And they end up scoring a touchdown on that drive. But like the second or third play in, their quarterback drops back like quarterbacks do. And he's eyeing the field and where his receivers are. And all I hear from the guys behind me is them being like, don't take a sack. Don't take a sack. Don't take a sack. Don't take a sack. I'm like, what? Is there any indication that this is going to happen? I mean, obviously that's not desirable to happen at any point in time, but it's like, I could imagine you having that response and reaction if this is a game where your quarterback's taking hits and your offensive line is just, you know, Swiss cheese, and you're just hoping it doesn't continue. This was unprovoked. This right. And then the thing, they said so many
also the
things.
Phrase "don't take a sack,"
yeah,
like versus "don't get sacked,"
right?
Like, oh, you know what, a sack's coming, but I'm not gonna take it.
Yeah,
the quarterback has a decision to make. Like, he sees, you know, defensive linemen coming in, and he's like, oh, no, here they come. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and take this sack.
Right. So they said a lot of stupid shit until my buddy got fed up with it and turned around and gave him a piece of his mind, which did shut them up for the rest of the game.
Oh, that's good.
But the one that, like, I've almost forgotten most of the dumb stuff that they said, because the one that stands out to me, I still don't understand. This is some fucking toilet paper math type shit going on here. First quarter of the game, the score is 10-0 Eagles. So they score that touchdown on the first drive, like I mentioned. They get a field goal somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And Green Bay can't move the ball. Both teams played like shit, by the way, the whole game. But offensively, Green Bay can't move the ball to save their asses at that point in the game.
Right.
And I hear this guy, and this is the one that is like burned into my head because it makes no sense to me, turns to his buddy that he's there with, and he's like, oh, 10-0 in the NFL? That's like an 8-point lead in an NBA game. And I'm like, the fuck does that even mean?
What is like, oh,
you didn't know that 10-0 in the NFL is like an 8-point NBA lead?
Like, how do you get that? How do you specify that number? Like, you have to pull that number out of your ass.
Drugs and alcohol is my guess.
I would imagine, because I mean, if an NBA team has an 8-point lead and it's not the last 2 minutes of the game, that lead is going to change a lot.
Most likely, yes.
Most likely one way or the other, right? But 10-0, I guess in the first quarter, maybe that's what they're trying to say, is that, you know,
there's a lot more football to play.
There's a lot more football to play. There's more options that's going to happen. But why that comment needs to be made, you're not educating anybody.
Right.
But by saying that, you're not confirming anything unless you're with somebody who doesn't know and they're panicking because, oh my God, they're down by 10 points. It's over. Now, 10-0 in a soccer game or
That's
football
a
for
big
our
deal.
European friends, that's a huge deal. In a
That's
hockey
probably like
game,
that's probably honestly 10-0 in a soccer game is probably like 130-point lead in the NBA.
yeah, that's a death knell. No matter how much time is left to play, if somebody's up on you 10-0,
They probably cancel the game at that point. They're probably like, nope, we're done. That's it. Skunk rules here.
yeah, right. Right. But I don't know why you need to inform somebody unless you're with somebody who only knows hockey or European football.
Right. Yeah. So we got out of there alive. If anybody cares, all of the home teams for those two games won. So Philly, the Eagles play. The Eagles will find out who they play tonight. That by the time you hear this podcast, it'll be announced.
Did you have
The
a
Ravens.
dog in the fight?
What's that?
Did you have a dog in the fight other than you have, a client on one team and
I have a client on the Vikings, so I wouldn't mind having him advance. Don't know if I'll end up going to the game next week. If he does, that'll be kind of as the team of agents that represent him. Usually we like to have somebody, especially at big games like that. Right. I mean, we even had one of the agents that's on that team because it's different groupings of agents for each player. Some it's just me and my partner, and some it's a larger group. He played 2 games in London this year, and we had guys that were out there at the London games. Wasn't me, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we definitely would have known had you gone to London.
Right. Well, I did go to London, just not for that.
Right. Like I said, and we knew that you were there.
Yeah.
No, this is all last year. That was last year that you went to London.
True. But so were these games were last year.
So were these games last year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was a whirlwind weekend. My sincere hope is that I don't go to any games this weekend. It won't be going to the Baltimore game because it's in Buffalo, and I have no desire to travel to sit out in the cold for 4 hours.
To be even colder than you normally would in your own cold region. Yeah, why go from cold to colder? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I kind of had, a similar, not similar at all. I did not go to two different sporting events in the cold weather. It's been beautiful weather here. We did have some rain. It's like 84 degrees today. It's actually kind of warm. I came here to the networking place in my tank top and put on a t-shirt to stop wearing tank tops on the podcast. But no, so the week before, so not this past Thursday, but the Thursday and Friday night before, and I may have talked about it on the podcast, that I performed 2 nights of karaoke.
Yeah, I think you did a little bit.
Yeah, and then they go, so all that, and then Saturday, and then Sunday. We did the podcast on Monday, and I went to another event on Monday night, and I was out on Tuesday night. Like I was out every single day and night talking, and sometimes talking or singing for hours at a time. So I had a speaking gig on Wednesday that I was supposed to go to that I got invited to. And Wednesday I woke up and my voice was going. Right, it was leaving. But I'm like, it's still here. I can probably still get some kind of I can get some practice speaking, doing another public speaking gig. I'm looking at getting into the public speaking arena. And I get to the event, and it's at the Wine Wednesday event that I first went to when I first got here. It's that same group of folks, but they're now doing speakers. And I was getting ready to do the same kind of speech that I did at PDCS, but my voice was shot. And they didn't have a microphone. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to project, because normally I wouldn't give a fuck if there's no microphone. I'm a theater. I do music. I can project my voice. I can fill an entire room with my voice if I need to. But not with my voice is shit. And they had no amplification. And so my ass should have gone home. I should have said, oh, that's it. This is a wash. Let me just go back home and rest and take it easy and rest my voice. Did I do that? 100%. No. 100% no. Why? Beautiful women. That's the easiest answer is beautiful women who came out to hear me speak and wanted to hang out and chill out and talk. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just sit here and hang out and chill out and talk. And got to know and met a new person, talked to her, and hung out with another friend all night long. Now the problem was at this event, they had a musician who was playing really, really loud. And it's like, why is this musician playing so fucking loud in a networking event when we're trying to talk to one another and get to know one another? So I'm having to talk.
Ooh, I know the answer. Beautiful women.
You in the back with the rap. Oh,
yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Beautiful women.
Beautiful women. That makes sense. Yeah,
probably the reason
they do make the word. That's definitely the reason he was there in his red bandana playing Mexican guitar, and he's a good guitarist. It was great. It was just so fucking loud. And we were like, and it took us, I don't know, too long to go. How about we leave here and go someplace else and chat and talk and get to know one another?
Yeah.
But so I'm talking over the music all night long and, loudly in people's ears so they can hear and back and forth conversations. And it was madness. And so I woke up Thursday. And it's funny, my voice was gone Wednesday. And Thursday, my body said, hey, remember when we tried to tell you to rest because your voice was gone? Now here's the rest of you. Don't get out of bed. Don't get out of bed today.
Yeah.
This is good. And I was supposed to go to Cancun on Thursday. Like I was mentioning in the past episode that I was going to go to Cancun for the Toastmasters, give a Toastmaster speech. And I thought this would be great. I could practice that portion of the speech on Wednesday. It'll be good to go for Thursday at Toastmasters. I'll get that speech in. And I'll get ready for this competition that, by the way, has not let us know when the next competition is. At least not that I have seen yet. I haven't gotten any word that the next competition is taking place at this location on this date at this time.
And this is the one following you winning the most recent competitions. It's like
correct. It's the next level. It's the bigger. And if it's bigger, you would think it would get better. And I don't know.
More notice.
And I don't know where the disconnect is. For all I know, they have a location, they have a venue, they have a date, and they have a time. It just had the information just hasn't trickled down to our club yet. Because that's right now, that's who I've been asking. But I'm going to start asking other people higher ups if they have an idea instead of going to our leadership team at the area, at the club level. So hopefully I'll have some information for you all to keep you posted on when the next competition is. But yeah, so I was just dead. And it was not pleasant. I don't like not having a voice. I like being able to sing whenever I want. And I just could not do it. Yeah, but we rested. Yeah, we rested and we were able to have our annual Christmas party yesterday, which went off great. We also celebrated our friend Karina's birthday, and her interview episode is dropping in a week and a half. So not this coming Saturday, but I think the following Saturday.
Okay.
Will be her interview episode called The Crunchy Ballet. And it was her 33rd birthday. So we did a joint celebration and we all got together. She had a piñata. It was insane. We ended up playing some mahjong at the party. There was some delicious food. Our friend Luis, Chef Louis, I like to call him, made tacos for folks and little mini quesadillas with his cheese that he loves. And, it was funny because for those who know me, know I don't like most cheeses. The only cheeses I really like is pepperoni and I don't know pepperoni. What the fuck's wrong with me? Mozzarella.
When
I'm thinking of pizza.
The only cheese you like is when it's underneath of a pepperoni.
When it's underneath pepperoni, right. Or above pepperoni, or wrapped in pepperoni, or pepperoni wraps around it. I don't care. Mozzarella cheese, I love it. I can only like cheddar if it's shredded for some reason. I can do a mixture of mozz and cheddar. Sometimes I'll eat that. Every now and then I can do like a 4-cheese pizza. it doesn't prevent me from eating it. But generally, I don't like most cheeses, especially not like quesadillas, because it's not, unless it's mozzarella quesadilla. And these weren't. And it's
Right.
funny to watch Louis go through the process of going, oh, Big Sexy, you want some quesadilla? Oh, right. You don't want the cheeses. And he did that like 4 times in the day because he's so excited to make these quesadillas. He's so excited to share them with people. And he was well into his cups. And it was very enjoyable to watch him truck down that path. And I just didn't wait. I just didn't watch. Like, you'll get there again eventually. You know, you're going to offer it to me. You're going to think about it. You're going to imagine me eating it. You're going to remind yourself that I don't like cheese. And then you're going to apologize for offering me these quesadillas. And I'm going to laugh and go about my merry way. We did a white elephant gift exchange, where the only gift that's stolen. Are you familiar with the white elephant gift exchange?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Correct. The only gift that got stolen, and we didn't have a large group of gifts available. We only had maybe 12 total.
Mm-hmm.
And well, we only had 11, and then I had to make up one because we had to include some extra people because some people who brought gifts left, and I hate that shit. And didn't tell anybody they were leaving, or didn't let us know, hey, we brought a gift, but we're leaving, so I can make an arrangements or whatever. And the only thing that got stolen was this beautiful wrap, you know, some cloth wrap, multicolored wrap. They also came with incense and oil. And that was it.
Interesting. So it's been a while. It's been like 3 years or so since I participated in one of these types of gift exchanges. And I like to buy, and I don't think I'm alone in this, but I like to buy zany stuff and have that be, you know, the gift that I'm contributing to it. But the last time that I did one, I also decided that I would sneak in a gag gift into the pile.
Okay.
But the gift that I brought that was like the one that I actually claimed was a salt and pepper shaker kit, like a setup that was, you can find this on Amazon if you search for Elvira salt and pepper shaker. So there was one big round pepper shaker and one big round salt shaker, and then just a little plaster. I don't know what the back end of it was because I never opened it. It was just in the package.
Right.
And in my recollection of 3 years ago and not knowing exactly what this was, you know, there. But that was a pretty fun.
And I'm imagining that the salt and pepper shaker was her boobs.
Yes.
That when you put them in the carrying case, made up Elvira.
The full Elvira, yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. We every year I tell you what happened. One year, the wife got someone's porn. Someone wrapped up their small collection of pornography, and my wife got it. So from that moment on, all of our white elephant gifts have been themed. So this year's theme was something you love, and it had to be something you really enjoy. Now I told her, I said, that's great, but you know, you can still get porn.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If that gift was from somebody's personal collection, it was not their whole collection.
Oh, definitely not.
It was probably barely 10% of their collection.
It was stuff they were willing to get rid of.
Stuff
that they had watched a bunch of times.
Yeah, that if it were a magazine, some of the pages had fallen out or stuck together.
Right.
So they're just trimming off, you know, they're making room for new material. That's what they're doing.
Right. And I was tempted for a long time to re-gift that, but I'm not going to be that asshole. Like, I'm not going to be the asshole to just, you know, get porn. So I donated it to a charity.
It would have been.
Yeah.
It would have been fitting. And I know that you're not where you were geographically and with the same friend group that you were when you picked this up. But how great would it be to go back to wherever that original group was 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the road, and then re-gift it in there and have somehow randomly the person who had originally gifted it open it up and like, oh shit, I haven't watched these in 7 years. This is great.
Perfect. I've
Time
been
to get
looking
them
for
back
these.
in the rotation.
That would be hilarious. That would be absolutely hilarious. Yeah, we like I said, went off with it. I got cash.
Oh,
which
cool.
I was surprised that cash wasn't stolen, which cracked me up. But the things were simple and easy. You know, one person brought what I call a BS gift. It was just they went to the store and grabbed something, wrapped it up, and called it good. And if it was a larger event, that would have been fine. But since there was only 11 gifts, it really stuck out. It was just a pair of swim goggles. It's like you just stopped at Chedraui and bought a pair of swim goggles, or somebody gave you some swim goggles and a stocking stuffer, and you didn't need these. Yeah,
I'm trying to think. At that last one that I did, I want to say there were 2 items, maybe 3, that were stolen the most. And one of them, and this is one of the, and I know different people do these white elephants different ways. But the format that we were doing that time was that an item could only be stolen 3 times. If you were the 3rd person to steal the item, it was yours. So, being late.
Play that second, we play second person. The third person that it touches, right? So it opens it, it gets stolen. If it gets stolen again, that person
got it. So it's good to be middle to late in the game, I think, if you want to be able to pick what you want and stick with it. And I'm trying to remember. I want to say one of the items that was stolen a couple of times might have been a yoga set or some sort of like something along that feeling, whether it was a yoga set or whether it was also like an incense and kind of,
kind of personal wellness.
Right. Something like that. And then the one that got stolen, I think only one item got stolen to the point where it hit the max. And that was a ball gag. And that was the gift that I wrapped as a secondary gift, and I made sure that it was wrapped in different paper and that the wrapping style was different than the way that I wrapped the actual gift that I was taking credit for. And it was the one that I snuck in early as gifts were piling up on the pile, being like, let me throw one more of these in there, like, let's see if we can throw a loop into this bad boy. And that was the hottest gift of the night.
It's random it's never been the same, right? And oddly enough, there was no alcohol. Usually every year somebody brings alcohol, multiple bottles, but this year there was 0 alcohol. There was, again, only one thing stolen, and the person who got it stolen from just opened up a new gift. Like, it was a very nice group, which was different than what we're used to. But also, I mean, we've only known these people less than 5 months.
Right.
And some people we just met yesterday. So it was a very interesting and fun event. So shout out to everybody who helped put that together and make our annual Christmas extravaganza another success. And, the wife was talking about, oh, yeah, when we do it next year, we have to, and then catching herself and going, oh, I mean, if we're here next year, right? Because we don't know. We don't know for sure. We said the same thing about Spain. Oh, if we do an annual Christmas party here, we'll have to have it at a location. Our place isn't big enough, whatever. And we didn't end up being back in Spain. So, but it's funny to have those type of thoughts. That, oh, well, next year I kind of know what's gonna happen, but I really don't. Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, I'm on the mend. I'm on the recovery. You're on the mend. You're about to go take a nap. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll be back at it by the next time we record an episode. No worries.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be back to pretty close to 100%.
Don't worry. I'm less than 2 weeks away from going to Vegas and beating the shit out of myself again. So it's it's okay, man. This is kind of the lifestyle. It's cool, and there's a good possibility that coming out of this conference, I start doing some performances that have me flying all over the country, which is going to beat the shit out of me as well. But I guarantee you it's worth it. It's a ton of fun. You know what I mean? Like the part that I didn't talk about is how great the weekend was, because it totally was.
Well, that's good. And did you at least enjoy yourself at the games?
Yeah. I mean, I have different opinions and reservations about the Eagles game, mainly because of their fandom and the asshats that sat behind us and things like that. But that whatever. That's not going to stop me from going to another one.
Right. Yeah, I just realized in 17 days I'll be in California.
Yeah.
Or on my way to California at least.
And we'll be missing each other by just a smidge.
Yeah.
On the West Coast there. Everything good in your fam's part of LA or
so
suburbs?
The good news is I don't have any family in LA. All my family now has moved inland.
So a little bit removed from where all of these fires are happening.
Yes, that's correct. I hate when coughs catch me off guard. Like I have a cough button right here, sneeze button generally, but cough button. But the coughs be coming up so quickly and out of the blue. I'll be just la 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 la. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, Jesus, I need to get the cut. Whatever. I mean, the good news is you might hear the cough in the episode. You might not. I might go through and cut it out in post. We'll see how I feel about it. Which would be hilarious if I do cut it out in post and I'm talking about it now. You'd be like, I didn't hear the cough, and that's because I cut it out in post. You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I have friends who've all checked in and said they're good. I don't have anybody so far that I know of specifically that's been affected, but I'm sure I must. Like, I know people who've been evacuated, right?
Yeah.
And are held up places. And I have friends who have been helping other people because they have access and there's been so much support in the community and stuff like that. So I know people directly in that fashion, but no one has specifically said we lost all our shit, so far. Not yet. Again, I've also been, sick and dead to the world. So I haven't really been focusing on social media and catching up on that as well. I've literally been just under the weather and resting and rapping. So if you're listening to this and you are affected by the fires, write us in. Let us know what's going on. We do care and we will share. And if you need help or whatever, please send us a message. Let us know. We'll get that out to, again, I have friends and fans out in the area who have access to help as well.
Yeah, hoping everybody that we know we're connected to are safe. And
I got a random question for you.
Yeah.
Do you know any corporate attorneys who operate out of Delaware?
Not well, but I probably know some. I'm probably like a degree of separation away from some.
Okay, we'll talk about the rest that reason for that question offline, but I wanted to ask it before I forgot because I sure enough would have talked about whatever we were going to end the podcast with, and then we completely forgot to ask you that question.
Yeah. I can, depending on what the need is, I should be able to get a connection.
Okay, cool deal. Excellent. Yeah. Speaking of connections, I walk around in merch.
Yes.
All week, every week. The problem is I don't have enough merch, so I'm some more. It'll be waiting for me when I get to California, and I'm excited. I'm actually really excited to get back to California and bring some more clothes back to Playa so I can have more options than the 7 or 8 shirts that I have now. Because I'm starting to go. Everybody has seen me in this Rainbow Millennium Falcon shirt. Like everybody has seen me in this whatever. And I like to change it up. I like to keep people guessing. I like to have a wide variety so people go, oh wow, that's a neat, neat whatever. So I'm looking forward to getting some more merch stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, if you would like some merch stuff, swing on over to whereisbigsexy.com. That's where, like, you're putting on clothing, is bigsexy.com, and grab some merch. Somebody asked me about it. That's why it's been on my brain recently. And I've sent a few folks over there because I was wearing my Where in the World is Big Sexy shirt, which is probably our #1 design.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brogan for creating.
That one's definitely one of the ones that that's higher in my rotation.
Yeah. And then there's some other ones, it's interesting. We have there's the Blacks at 2023, the Big Sexy Digital Nomad World Traveler, which is like my purple silhouette that said Vegas to Portugal. That no longer applies whatsoever. Oh, that's different.
You visited Portugal.
We were there for a day. We really were. But that's what happens when you make merch based on plans versus what happened.
Well, it just shows the fluidity of the process. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I need to reach out to Brogan and see if she has some time. We need some more. I think we need some more merch. I think we need some additional.
I could
ideas.
use a freshen up for sure.
Yeah, I mean the latest thing we got were the initials for like the hat. I think we look good on the hat, the BSDN and our initials, and creating other stuff around that. I'm also still working on the website, getting it done. So I'll talk to you again about that as well. A little bit behind the scenes stuff. But in order to help with all that stuff, listeners, feel free to swing on over to bullwiththebutthole.com. Join the Patreon, support the podcast, and that'll help us with doing things like hiring people to do artwork for us and getting the merch out there and out to the world. Yeah, but we appreciate all of you. Anything else you need to add before we close this bitch out?
Well, I'll be at the Performing Hypnosis Summit in Vegas in less than 2 weeks. If for some reason you are a performer that's looking to elevate your game, you don't need to be a hypnotist. You don't need to be interested in performing or even learning hypnosis. There is so much in this conference that is packed to the gills to help entertainers book better gigs, more gigs, to just survive out there. There's also a bunch of hypnosis specific stuff, but feel free to just take a break during that or sit in and just see what it's about. That's really cool. And if you're in the Maryland area, February 1st, we have a fundraiser show for the Northeast High School Marching Band. This is our second time doing a show for them. So grab tickets to that. It's going to be a kick-ass time.
Definitely support, especially in the area. Even if you can't go, buy tickets to that and support.
Yeah.
The fundraiser goes for a good cause. And, also, if you're into, we have our sponsors over there at cruisehabit.com.
Cruisehabit.com, bitches.
Our friends Billy and Larissa, we appreciate them talking about cruising and helping us with cruising. Cruises. Really looking forward to this year, finally taking another cruise. It's the wife's 50th birthday cruise. And if you want to join us, you're welcome to do so. Swing on over to gowithlisa.com/bigsexy. There you can join us on her cruise, where we will we'll get together and hang out and party and laugh and joke and be stupid and have a good time. So you're welcome. Again, that's gowithlisa.com/bigsexy to join us there. All right, kids. And of course, send your emails on over to bigsexynomad@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. If you want to be interviewed, you got any travel stories, you got any fun anecdotes.
Because it's going to be awesome. There's a chance that I'm there. As of right now, I'm not booking anything because I'm kind of in a slight holding pattern because of a potential opportunity that I'm exploring career-wise that may or may not impact my plans in that week. So I'm not going to book anything till I know really what I'm dealing with the other thing, which I'll probably talk about on one of the first episodes that we have in February. We'll go from there.
Yeah. But book the cruise. Join us. Let us know you booked the cruise. We'd love to see you all. And thank you again. And I'm going to go and rest this voice because I can hear it starting to try to get a little fuzzy again. So before it does that, I'm going to peace out and say, in the meantime, safe travels.